Welcome to the post-woke world. My name is Jennifer, and I'll be your host. The architecture of celebrity control. There's a three-layered trap. So today we're turning our lens towards the most successful psychological operation in modern pop culture. We're exposing the three-layered architecture used to manage the world's most powerful billionaire and mogul, Selena Gomez. So we're going to take a look from the Justin Bieber optical anchor to the clone replacement diversions that are going crazy right now. This is how they manufacture a blank soul for eternal engagement. We no longer choose the lesser of two evils. We no longer accept the frame they give us. We have decided we are going to look at the issue as an observer and not see that there's only two sides to every issue, meaning Selena Gomez is a victim, or Selena Gomez is a bully, or Hailey Bieber is a bully, or Justin Bieber is what, fill in the blank. It's all spin, and it always has been. My hope is that by going through this, we can help detach ourselves even further from some of these crazy celebrity theories, because that's what they are. Celebrities are losing their influence in our culture. And so, of course, they're going to come out with conspiracy theories about all these celebrities now because they don't really have any relevance anymore. Does anybody really care about the Oscars or the Grammys anymore? I mean, yes, I think acting is a worthwhile pursuit, but at this point, most of these people, I think, are vampires. I don't know who these people are anymore. And I certainly don't have any respect for them and don't expect integrity from them after all the things that have been exposed. And the truth is, they are probably the most replaceable of all in this new world we're entering in, right? We have the celebrities. You can manufacture them now. You can make a movie depending on, your bandwidth on your computer and your technical skills. It doesn't really take much, though. They can now make a movie with one line that stars someone like Brad Pitt and looks just like Brad Pitt. The laws haven't caught up to this AI, okay? The music is all derivative of other music. I mean, I feel like they stopped making good music about 20 years ago. And it turns out all the good music wasn't made by the musicians that they claimed. It's always just been a substitute or an act for authenticity to make us believe we're not enough. And if you haven't seen the Shia LaBeouf video, his interview, we're going to look at that a little bit later. But let me get back to this. Sorry, post-woke tangent. The architecture of vulnerability, the billionaire underdog blueprint. How does a global billionaire mogul with massive institutional power convince the world that she's still a struggling, bullied underdog? How does somebody do that, like Selena Gomez? Why is she seen that way by so many, as if she needs to be defended? It's by design. And if you think otherwise, think again. It's the architecture of vulnerability. You see the raw, unedited looking content, the no makeup selfies and the shaky cam kitchen videos. It's a psychological primer designed to create a feel of authenticity. I remember Katy Perry tried this. She had a camera on her for 24 hours or something. Do you guys remember this? It was really bizarre. You could watch her sleep and everything. That's all designed to make you feel like you actually know these people, like you're hanging out with them and talking to them and stuff. The pictures without the makeup or the hair, that's all designed. Even if it's leaked, it's designed. All of it's designed by PR managers. And it's also to protect the Selena Gomez brand, whether she's alive or dead. I mean, look at Marilyn Monroe and Elvis Presley. So it's also a way of lowering your guard. If you see someone acting vulnerable or looking vulnerable, if you have empathy, which thank God some of us still have, you're going to feel a certain way. You're going to feel, I feel sorry for this person, or there's going to be a reaction. You have to guard those reactions in this world now. Watch what you're looking at, because a lot of these things are just ploys to gain more attention. It's not some evil plot. It's just they want you attentive to their issues so that you consume their things. So if you examine the optics of her social media breaks, like when she disappears, it's just like, I'm not saying she's a narcissist. In fact, she probably doesn't even have any control of her image at this point. Okay. But if you examine her taking breaks where she just kind of disappears, it's not necessarily about her health. That's what the rumors are and the leaks. It's probably more likely coinciding with competitor product launches or high profile events that threaten her narrative. Okay. So when I say her narrative, I mean the narrative they've created for her. I'm not saying it as if she's a real person. She's not. The Selena Gomez we see in public is not the real Selena Gomez. In fact, some of these people don't even look like they look on stage and things like that when you meet them in real life. It's just a fact. If you've ever met a famous person, it's Hollywood magic. And the magic has gotten so good they no longer need these people. So they have to maintain their relevance somehow. So, if what does a narcissist do when they don't have control? And most of these celebrities, unfortunately, are narcissists. They were raised to be that way. But what do? They use silence as a weapon, emotional withdrawal. If you go quiet, that is a weapon because people don't know what you're up to. And then they're going to fill that vacuum in with all kinds of, oh my gosh, it's a health scare, this and that. And now they're not paying attention to, say, Hailey Bieber's makeup campaign or whatever it might be. Okay. So, like I said, it's a strategic retreat to create a vacuum. And the indoctrinated fan base, the people that have loved Selena since, Nickelodeon, is going to fill all of that with defensive energy because they're filled with empathy and they feel attached to her. She's got selfies with no makeup and she's crying on camera or whatever it is. And so while you're defending her struggle, she is consolidating her status as a global mogul. She's still Selena Gomez with her billion-dollar status, right? But she comes down to that, like, tries to get that Jenny on the block feel. And it's all for marketing purposes and attention. And again, not saying it's her, it's people who manage her. It's her management team. The Justin Bieber optical anchor, because he's always tethered to Selena Gomez. It's like they're still dating. It's like they never broke up. Why is that? It's the same thing with Jennifer Aniston and Brad Pitt. Why are they always tying ours? Because they actually still love each other? No. It's relevance. It's to create that lore, right? So when a brand can't stand on its own, it anchors itself to a ghost. So we're exposing this Justin Bieber optical anchor as a permanent psychological link. And it was forged in digital metadata linked to Jelena, the Jelena brand. And it's alive for eternal engagement. Again, a Marilyn Monroe. Look at the way they fashion some of these people where you're still paying for branding of Marilyn Monroe after she's been dead for 50 years or whatever it might be. This isn't about love. It's about ensuring that whenever his name is searched, hers is never far behind. Nostalgia triggers. Have you noticed how archive-style posts or cryptic nostalgia will triggers always surface just as Justin Bieber is about to reach some new milestone, like he's sober or he's getting married or he's moving out of Hollywood or he's becoming a practicing Christian, right? Whenever that's happening, there's that sort of pullback to Selena and what's going on with them. And that's happened again with Justin Bieber. He's trying to separate from Hollywood. He's really trying. He's one of my heroes. I have a list of heroes. He's one of them. And he's really trying, and they're not letting him. And the Selena Gomez machine, whether it's part of that to bring him back or it's just to torment him, either way, it doesn't matter. They're trying to destroy Justin Bieber right now. And they're making Selena Gomez look like a victim. But she's a billionaire mogul. Isn't she in love with Benny Blanco now? I mean, what's going on? She's not a victim. Stop. Not you guys. I'm just saying. So what they do is, when he's starting to do some new milestone or a new album or he's going to tour or something, all of a sudden, there's going to be these cryptic triggers or nostalgia posts to bring you back into that Jelena phase. And what are they doing that for? It's because it's a parallel construction for public attention, right? When you revive the old wounds, precisely when he tries to move on, the system is going to kind of force him back into the old metric, the old paradigm. They don't want Justin Bieber to grow without being Selena Gomez attached in some way. So it's not necessarily, and I believe not even likely, that these two even really still love each other. It's all manufactured by both of their public relations teams and probably not even by their consent, is my guess. They could be friendly, but not give a crap about each other anymore. But they make it sound so dramatic. And now that the new lawyer is what? Well, we'll get into that. So it turns a human past into a searchable database, essentially, that it neutralizes the target's growth. That's what they're doing to Justin Bieber right now. So if you want to help Justin Bieber, don't feed into the Selena Gomez lore. Whatever's going on with Selena Gomez right now, with Benny Blanco, she's a clone. She died. She had a baby. They sacrificed, whatever it is. And we'll never know. It could be any of those things or none of those things. We'll never know. But if you don't want to contribute and cause more harm, then what you do is you don't participate in those discussions. And what I mean by that is on Twitter or Instagram or Facebook or in groups in general, words in general, just spoken out loud that just one other person hears, it gets multiplied. So words are really powerful. Thoughts, perspectives are powerful. I'm talking about this hopefully in a way that is viewed as non-harmful. because I want to see the lens. We got to look at this lens that we're viewing these people in. We're seeing these people as commodities that we are able to critique or we're friends with. I knew someone that used to call all the celebrities by their first name. And finally I just asked him, I was like, do you know them? He's like, no. I'm like, oh, okay. Like, just felt so familiar with these people. They're calling by their first name. We're not friends with these people, right? These people live lives that are vastly different than ours and likely mostly orchestrated for a brand. We've already found out many of these people are not talented. They're not singing for themselves. You have to read the book, one of the ones we went over here, but you can learn about how the 60s was manufactured and how, a lot of the musicians, a lot of them, almost all of them, weren't actually any good at singing or making music. They just used them as a front, Milli Vanilli style. And that's why their concerts were always awful back then. So, I mean, it's all been orchestrated. And you have to start asking yourself, why? So they've got this clone and replacement theory now, the uncanny valley. Okay. Like, we're getting uncanny valley vibes with everybody. Jim Carrey, I saw that. He's already been in uncanny valley for a long time, that guy. And of course, he made a movie called The Mask. So now we're saying, is he wearing a mask or is Biden wearing a mask? I'm that old school conspiracy theorist. I mean, I'm Gen X. That's probably the biggest conspiracy theorist group, I'm guessing. But regardless, like, I've been around a long time following this stuff. And what I'm noticing is everything's being talked about now. And to me, that's a red flag, because for things to be hush hush and nobody knows, and then suddenly even mainstream people are talking about it, those are the red flags. Not the things on social media, or the fact that more people are awakening. I think that's just inevitable. And that's why they're acting so crazy right now, bombing Iran. They just said that there's a surge bomb coming up. Why? They still haven't told us why. We know why. I know why, because we have religious zealots in charge of the world who believe they're fulfilling Bible prophecy. That's the real reason why. Okay. And we're going to talk about Selena Gomez. You know what I'm saying? So we don't have control over either one. That's the issue. But the way it's being framed, you have to start recognizing is similar. For example, I don't know what's actually happening in Iran right now. I really don't. I don't know, because the media is telling me this, and then they're going to show me. I remember them showing pictures of bombs before in different countries, and later you find out, oh, that was not from that war. That was from a different war or a different country or a different time. This shit's all been documented. Look at it. They're not even careful about some of this stuff. That's what happened in 9/11. You guys remember 9/11? The guy in England who sued the BBC, very interesting case, sued the BBC because they showed the World Trade Centers falling before they actually fell, or they were talking about it before they actually fell. I forget how it worked, but essentially it had nothing to do with the time difference. It had to do with the fact that they had foreknowledge, and he couldn't sue the BBC for foreknowledge, so he sued them for inaccurate reporting, which is really hard to do, but in this case it was easy. Very interesting. But the point is, it was manufactured news. Now, I'm not saying the buildings didn't collapse, people didn't die. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is everybody knew the script that morning. Okay, and they still do. They still do. So when you have people talking about 9/11, I saw Indy Nile, the documentary that I did in my last video, and he had Daniel Klein come on, who lived in Israel, American born, moved back to make Aliyah and join the military in Israel, the IDF, and the things that he told us. And they're allowing that video to stay up. So that's pretty unusual. I mean, I feel like they're just like, okay, open the box, let everything come out. And people have to just use their discernment to decide if something's real or fake. And I think before you even decide it's real or fake, decide if it's even worth your time to care. But I do want to report on this issue because it is something that's coming up. And I think regardless of what it is after this, maybe you can use the same sort of tactic. Oh, they're framing this person as the victim. Oh, it was the Angelina Jolie, the whole Angelina Jolie, Jennifer Aniston psyop. Okay, one's a victim, one's an angel, right? And Jennifer Aniston can never have babies, right? She can never have babies. That was probably Brad Pitt's PR team. It's fucked up what they do to these celebrities. It's real. And they hire teams to go after people to do this. This is a real thing. And then you have just regular fans too. So now they've got this clone replacement theory, the uncanny valley. When the underdog math flips and behavioral shifts become too drastic to ignore, the system doesn't reboot the truth. It creates a diversion. So in other words, people saying that Selena is not herself or she's acting differently, she's not the old Selena, maybe because she's being a little more assertive or, whatever it is, right? Maybe that's because we're seeing the actual real Selena now and she's not filtered through her PR. And so when that slips, what does PR do? Oh, that's a clone. Make up some bullshit clone or whatever. If it's really bad, that's what they have to do. Now, I don't follow Selena enough to know if she's really turned fans off in some way. And that's why this clone theory has to be invented. But I'm suspecting, yes. So it creates this diversion, and then enter the clone replacement theory, right? While the fringe debates body doubles in labs, the real operation is happening in the TikTok algorithms. Because these theories create the uncanny valley celebrity identity, where the biological person is then replaced by a digital product. Think about it. Think about it. Why does the PR team allow these rumors to circulate? Because they are allowing them to circulate, right? Why are they not being shut up? If we see it on TMZ tonight, we know that her PR team is pushing it. Okay. TMZ is like the I feel like the tip of the spear with entertainment propaganda. Like it's all propaganda, and it's all fed by them. You can tell because when Alan Jackson was representing Rob Reiner and they were getting all these tips, it was clearly from Alan Jackson. He just didn't have somebody like that in Boston, so he used Turtle Boy instead. But anyway, so they're the perfect mask for mundane scandals. So like a clone is like a great mask. Oh, that's a clone. That's not really her. Or she's dead and she had to sacrifice her baby. Now all of a sudden people feel bad for her instead of why was she such a bitch? Why is she a bitch now? So if the fan base is busy debating the clones, they're not looking at the billionaire contract or the institutional architects behind the curtain. She's still a billionaire, guys. She's still a billionaire. International business mogul. Okay. Don't feel sorry for her. She has, just because you have money doesn't mean you're happy, but it doesn't mean you have resources to help yourself. This digital immortalization creates this blank soul, a permanent node in the surveillance web that can never truly step away. Like Justin Bieber and Selena Gomez are forever entangled in digital eternity. It's the ultimate gaslighting tool. It's used to discredit researchers, keep the audience in a state of lateral conflict, right? Like, whose side are you on? It's like back in the day when it was like, who's prettier, Apollonia or, oh my God, who the heck was it? It was Apollonia, who I loved, and I always thought she was prettier. But I can't remember the woman she was compared to. It was another Spanish woman, but I can't remember. Anyway, it was hilarious. But it's the same thing now. Who do you like better, Selena or Hailey Bieber? You know, whose side are you on? You know? Just as Justin Bieber is really trying to get out of this, right? So the architecture is only going to work, though, if we keep looking at the distractions. Stop looking at the distractions and looking at the intentions of, you can never know true intention. You can know effect and understand that these people have control of it all. So if we're seeing it, it's by design. That's what I'm trying to say. And I think it's important to recognize that. People call this a simulated reality or it's not real. I think that's overstating. I think it's a little hyperbolic. It's not that it's a simulated reality. It's just a reality that is being manufactured by the media. And so if you take all that in and ruminate over it and make life plans around it and don't do things because of it and spend hours fighting online about it and stuff, you're not paying attention to your own personal humanity and growth. And over time, that affects you. And it really does just create a slave to a capitalistic system that thrives from attention. And so that's why I'm asking people to step out of that, because we're entering a fork in the road. It's not a big dramatic one. It's not going to be some cataclysm at this point. It's just a fork where people are going to start to decide how they want to live. And we have a choice still. We still have a choice. And I think it's important to really think about what those choices are and to recognize when manufactured consent is being put onto us. That's done often. It's one of the reasons why I did not vote this last time. I no longer consent to the broken system of lesser of two evils. And I'm not going to consent to saying this person's a bully and that person's a victim. And the reality is nobody knows what the fuck is going on behind the scenes in their homes, nor should we. So if you stop looking at distractions and you look at the stage and the actors and the anchor, the spell fades, guys. That's what I'm here. I want to help the spell fade. So do you see the underdog mask? Or do you see the billionaire mogul when you look at Selena Gomez now? I want to hear everything in the comments. And remember, Justin Bieber, he's financially okay because of his wife Hailey's company is doing well. But he recently sold his whole album, like his whole artistry album track or whatever, which is insane. Most artists don't do that until they're about to die unless they can gift it to other people. It's insane. So he's really trying to just cut ties from Hollywood. So just keep that in mind when you start seeing more Selena stuff pop up. All right, well, I'm going to be going live after this. Actually, I'll be going live this evening about 9:30. Okay, sorry, guys. Hold on. Let me pull myself up here. Hello. Okay. That was probably a little bit weird. Hold on. I just want to stop sharing. Okay. So, yeah, so I had pre-recorded that. So just like a little bit earlier today. So I wasn't interjecting because sometimes it is really hard for me to focus on one topic, especially when I have people in the chat, and I love to talk to you guys. I get FOMO if I'm not looking. So I've been trying to do some pre-recorded type things so that, I can kind of get my idea out there, and then we can talk about it a little bit more. So it's nice to see you, Bones. And yeah, I knew who you meant when you said you didn't like Jennifer. I knew you meant Jennifer Aniston. And yeah, she's any of the celebrities, that are talking about pizza and things. And like, even if you see Tom Hanks on Saturday Night Live when they did toddlers and tiaras, these people with their jokes, their inside jokes over the years, it's funny because it is true that all of these things are eventually brought to light. What you do in the dark in a closet will eventually, it comes out. Maybe when it comes out you're dead. Maybe when it comes out it's because you're in jail. Maybe it's because someone broke into your computer. I don't know. Julian Assange comes along, Candace Owens knocks on your door. Karma shows up is what happens. Okay. And this year, we talked about this already. Okay. You guys know what year it is, right? You guys know what year it is? Okay, this is the year it is. Just in case anybody forgot. Hold on. Okay, it's the year, guys, of the fire horse, guys. My mom actually bought this for me. Now it says the year of the horse, okay? But let's be honest. It's the fire horse. The horse is on fire, okay? The horse is running out of the barn. It's on fire, which means shit is happening this year, okay? If you have plans you've been sitting on for a while, things you weren't sure about, now's the time to get off the pot. Now's the time to make the move. That's where we are. Sorry. Yeah, you're the dragon horse. I know, right? Oh, this is the nice side of it too. I love this side to it. It's just like so pretty, right? It's very light too. It's like, it's pretty cool. Anyway, but yeah, the fire horse, guys. So let's just remember, horses running on fire, time to get things done this year. Okay. And also time for things to be revealed. We've got the planetary alignment happening in the sky. Now, I can't see it because they're probably spraying a bunch of whatever, magnesium, whatever the hell they put in the sky. Okay. I can't see it. But I have seen them. I saw one this past summer. It's really something to see the planets in alignment. And with that, some of them you don't even need a telescope for. Okay. So this is what I want you guys to think about. Okay. This is what's really, I think, interesting. And this knowledge comes from people like Bro Sanchez, who I love and I followed for years now, and Jason Brashears and Archaics, who I also love and followed for years now. So right now, there's a theory among those who look at history and spend time evaluating different historical texts. And this theory is that history is cyclical. And many of us kind of already know about this theory or feel it intuitively. Like things are on repeat, not exactly Groundhog Day, but there's this cycle in history, where at some point something happens and the game starts over again. Everything's cleared off the board and it's a reset. And it's one of those things that happens. Now, if you read certain books, they'll tell you this happens every 6,000 years or whatever it is, right? These numbers that I just can't even begin to conceive, okay? Honestly, just can't even begin to conceive. But some people have actually done so much study that they're able to say, like, for example, Jason had, his theory is that it rotates every 138 years. Okay. So after every 138 years, it's like this reset. And that's why if you look into these things like the World Fair, which I was always fascinated with as a kid, but it was really hard to find stuff when I was a kid because we had to go get the microfiche film out. Raise your hand if you remember the microfiche film, okay? Look at the amount of data, guys, that we have in our hands. It's insane. Back in the day, you know how much it took to do a research paper? Oh my gosh, the legwork. Anyway, all I'm trying to say is there are some anomalies all around the world that they just simply cannot explain. Some people call them the seven mysteries. Some people just continue. Yeah, the encyclopedias, exactly. You know, those are some of my favorite things to buy online is old encyclopedias. Yes, please, I'll take them. Oh, that's an old encyclopedia set from 1920. Give it to me. Some people give them away. I'm like, I have no idea how valuable this is to look and see what's being described in these texts because we know they change language. In my lifetime, they changed the definition of certain words. So I know they do it over generations for sure. And words mean that gives us our perspective and framing, and that's how they control everything. I mean, it's just, the world is we're getting to figure this stuff out now because of the internet, that there's just so much information and it's crazy to be able to see all of this and see how it operates. That's one of my favorite things to try to do here. Yes, you love Jason. Yeah, Jason is great. I did a video, I think it was yesterday, and I used a little bit of his video just to introduce people who don't know about him. Because he should have 1 million followers. I'm just shocked that he doesn't already have 1 million followers. And so, anyway, it was great. That's so, and Bro Sanchez too. Exactly. Yeah, I love him too. So good. So good. So regardless, so if history is in these cycles, right, then what happens is, at some point, knowledge gets hidden. And the theory that I keep hearing right now, and I'm careful about what theories I adopt, I'm more or less observing them at this point. I'm not taking any of them and saying this is what I believe, but everybody's kind of getting the wind about the Roman Catholic Church. I don't know about the theories you're hearing, and I'm not disparaging any church. I'm just saying these are the theories that are starting to float up, like, oh, the church is actually just the Roman Empire, and they've hidden all the texts throughout our history. And there's a lot of this coming up right now, okay? There's a lot of it coming up. Regardless of what you believe, there is something that I think is, without getting into cycles in history or who may be running the world or who may be hiding our true origins, because I have lots of thoughts on those. But regardless of that, what I'm trying to say is, hold on one second, guys. Sorry, I just got distracted. Okay, yeah, that what's happening right now, okay, with the planetary alignments are, if you were to look up in the night sky and you didn't have any light pollution, you could see that where you live. It's really pretty incredible stuff, right? If you've ever been in a place where there's really low light pollution and it's just so dark that it takes your eyes a few minutes to even adjust to how dark it is, and then you look up in the sky and it's like you could just touch a star because there's billions and billions of stars that you didn't even know existed. You can actually look up and see the Milky Way. Okay. Think about it. No, we can't do that, most of us, at least in New Jersey. Okay. And when I was in Connecticut, I couldn't either. Okay. And I lived in Hawaii and I was able to do it on the big island of Hawaii. And I was able to do it in Maui. But only sometimes. It still wasn't perfect, right? And so it's one of those things that when you're able to look at the stars, it's really hard to not feel like this is all here by intelligent design. When you're looking at the stars and the way that they move and the beauty of them and all of those things, and when the planets align or there's a solar eclipse, These are all signs. And I believe from what I'm learning and what I'm hearing, and it makes sense, they're actually not even solid planets. They're more like energy bodies, guys. They're more like chakras, which is wild. So if you think if the planets are more like chakras instead of solid bodies, because I know they show us pictures of what these planets look like, but if you've ever tried, if you go outside and you use your camera, zoom in on a planet, you can find a planet by one of these apps where you can just locate things. I've done it many times. And our phones have incredible zooms on them now. If you have an iPhone and you zoom in on the planet, you'll see that it's reflecting, and it's crazy. It looks like it's not solid, which makes sense, right? Like a solid object is going to just be like a big ball of cheese that's just hanging up in the sky like that. Like that doesn't even make sense, right? And the way that it moves in the camera, it's like hexagonal. Saturn is hexagonal a lot. That one's crazy. Oh, that's awesome. I love that. I grew up in Pennsylvania. I grew up in Delco. My accent's pretty much gone at this point. But when I get around some people, it comes right back. My home and phone accent, my Delco roots. Poconos, yeah, that's really cool. And so you know what I mean? So if you can see these things, and this is what people who keep the story orally do, the people, oh, okay, Bucks County is beautiful. I actually have relatives there. Yeah. Very close by. I know where that is exactly. Yeah. So the thing about it is, so if we think about the skies, okay, and we think about if that's some sort of chakra alignment in the skies are trying to show us things, okay? And then down on the earth, there's this incredible chaos. And I think it was Bro Sanchez that made this correlation, and it's true, you can look it up, that whenever there's times of incredible chaos like there is right now on earth, like don't you feel like everything's just chaotic? Like every day they're just pouring on crazier news. We're bombing Iran, guys. Why are we bombing Iran, guys? I can't, they're not even pretending to come up with, they're actually just denying that we're at war. They're not giving any reasons for it. They're actually just denying the fact that we're at war. And that's where we're at. Okay. So when you're in an environment like this, like we are right now in the United States, it feels pretty unstable in a lot of ways. I don't feel unstable internally in myself, but when I'm looking at the outside world, I'm like, anything could happen at this point. You know what I mean? Like what's going to happen next? Apparently anything can happen today, right? Anything. Because I thought at first, the Venezuela thing, let's not forget about Venezuela. So I'm just saying, like, all of this chaos is happening now. Okay. Now, obviously, a lot of it has to do with game theory, power moves. We talked about this. We're going to talk about that more. But it's really just about power moves and game theory with people who are playing zero-sum games, okay? Who have different values and theories about what humanity is. The people who are running things right now. We can see that clearly. These people have been acting all this time. And I don't feel like Trump's just decided to stop acting. I'm not saying he's all bad. I'm just saying, like, I don't know what's going on right now. I don't know how you feel about it, but I don't agree with war, and I think most Americans feel the same way as I do. And that does not mean I'm not a patriotic person at all. I saw something that was heartbreaking the other day, which was a Marine standing up at a press conference trying to question someone on stage. I forget who it was, but it was someone in the government. And he was saying, why are we doing this? We need to stop. We need to stop. And they were bringing him out. And he was in full, like, regalia, and they were like dragging him out, and eventually like they were able to take him out, but they broke his arm in the process of it. And I was just thinking, it was so devastating to watch this man who said he had served in Afghanistan, and there are a lot of people in the military right now, I'm telling you, that are not happy about what's going on in Iran, because they remember what happened after Afghanistan, or after Iraq, or after Iran. They were the guys that came to America's rescue after 9/11. Those are the guys we have right now, okay? Those guys are kick ass, okay? Hey, what's up, girl? Those guys are kick ass if you think about it, okay? These are the guys that when like America called on them and said, "We need your help," they didn't say boo. They just signed up, okay? Now, truthfully, I give them a lot of credit. I really do. Those are real men. The thing is they learned what we all learned, and what some of us knew before they even left, which was that war was not really for America in the way that they portrayed it to be, right? We all know that now. We all know the whole Middle East saga. I mean, growing up in that, I just thought it was something, it was like the war that never ends, goes on and on, my friend. The Palestinian kids are throwing rocks and there's tanks with Israelis, and that's just war that never ends. Nobody knows why it started or when it will begin and end. Like that's what I thought of it, until I one day finally decided to do some research on it as to why this is happening. And I'm like, what? Of course this is a problem. And, but the point is, those guys didn't know that then. So they show up because George W. asked them to. And they went and they learned a lot of shit, and they did their shit, and they came back and they did more of their shit. And now they're tired. They're tired of the pedophilic elite who have enslaved us with their bullshit capitalism. And I'm not communist either, guys, so don't get me wrong. I'm against both of them, period. We don't have to have one or the other. Everything doesn't have to go in one box or this box. There's like multiple fucking paths for everybody. And that's what they've done. They take away our choice with everything from the moment we're born. You know what I mean? Like it's got to be documented, and the state's got to give you certain numbers and things like that. And then you want to draw. I mean, it's too much. It's too much. And look, I'm not saying I could survive without any government right now. I mean, government is what gives us electricity and water. I mean, I pay for it, but I'm in an area where it's run by a town, right? That's government. But to me, that's something that, okay, I know where my money's going. The federal taxes, who knows where your federal taxes are going? Raise your hand if you know, because I don't fucking know. It's definitely not helping our country, not the infrastructure in any way. Donald Trump ran on infrastructure. Remember? Oh, this place looks like trash. This looks like trash. We got to soup this place up. What happened to that? What happened to that? Is he going to start doing that? So I'm just saying, we're paying like European socialist taxes at this point, but we still don't have health care. And the education system is in the tank. I mean, big time. So it's just something that's been on my mind. And so Bro Sanchez is talking about this alignment. He's like, they just don't want us to look up. Because when we look up, we realize that we are divine beings, right? That we are meant to be here, that we're special, that we're extremely special. Each of us is extremely special. And we each have our own path. And they want to influence those paths. They want to influence what we think. They instill so many core beliefs in us at such a young age. I'm talking about me and you and all of us. Unless you grew up in with parents who foresaw the future and realized keep you away from digital shit or what, whatever it might be. I mean, there are some kids, that had some really woke parents back in the day. They're probably living in the jungles of Peru right now or something. I don't know. I'm just saying, you know, to see a lot of my suspicions be proven right is really interesting. It doesn't feel good. And then also to see new theories getting spun out of control, I don't necessarily like either, because when I believe certain things that may seem implausible, it was only after I had like done hours of testing hypotheses, et cetera, and ruling them out before I'd be comfortable saying something that sounds ridiculous to the majority of people, right? But now it's like the new thing now. Like, what's the conspiracy theory? Oh, that's crazy, and then people just run with it and they just talk about it. I don't like that because that's where our society is not us and not people like us. And I know there's a lot of people like this, but the general population, the collective, okay, it's just everything is so literal, and when you question any of it, it collapses, and so you're not able to question, and so they make it seem like speech is not favorable, if you know what I'm saying. So that's what I don't like. No, I get it. I totally get it. Yeah, I mean, there are some parents that are just, I had a neighbor who they were Christian, but she didn't celebrate Christmas with a tree, and her kids didn't think Santa was. I mean, her kids knew that Santa was fake, like from the time they were babies or whatever. She said she wouldn't do that to them. That was like it's a sacrilege or something, which like I get. It makes sense. And then of course when you get older and you actually see like what the tree is and what some of the stuff is that they have us participating in. P.S. that we are participating in. Okay, it's called manufactured consent, right? You just grow up with the Halloween, the Valentine's Day. You just grow up with the Halloween. You grow up with the gory movies. Like that's normal. They're gonna show us gory satanic shit. Like that's normal. That kind of stuff. Yeah, no, that makes sense. Yeah, I think religion it's George Carlin, I agree with him and most the great minds, when it comes to that stuff. I think it's a very personal choice and nobody needs to really even know what it is, right? It's personal. And it's been weaponized though. The religion's been weaponized clearly. And here's the thing I've been thinking about. We know that they want a one world religion. We know that they want that. They've been broadcasting it for years, right? I can't remember her name, but she had blonde hair. She was an older woman, and for years, like she was the original OG conspiracy theorist. She used to talk about NASA's plan for destruction and depopulation or something. I can't remember the name of it, but it was something that she had somehow come across. And she went everywhere and talked about this plan. And all the things that she said are coming to be, like the 5G. I remember right before 5G towers were put on all these corners, I remember them saying there was this one guy who was like, he's constantly hiding in his bathroom. I don't know if that was his shtick or if it was real, but the guy was like living in high anxiety. He's like, the 5G is coming and you got to make sure you have it. And the guy was like off the chain with this shit. And then when some legislation passed where they were going to be doing more 5G, I don't know what happened to him after that. I think the guy might have self-combusted. He was so flipped out for the 5G, which, by the way, I agree with him. Okay, I agree with him. All right. Because their next plan we talked about is to put to put the towers on each block. Oh, they want to. They want to. And if we let them, they will. Right? If you let them, they will. Okay. So, but here's what I'm thinking about. Okay. They've broken down so many things since COVID started. Once Kobe, well, here for me, it all started when For me, this whole weird world, clown world started when Bruce Jenner became out, when he outed as a woman. Okay. I had seen the changes before it happened. Nobody wanted to believe me, but I'm like, look at Bruce Jenner, his knees, like look at, or look at his fingers, or look at his eyebrows, or his face looks a little softer, like estrogen, maybe. I mean, I'm saying it, and people are like, that's crazy, blah blah blah. And then next thing you know, he's gonna come out. Okay, that's fine. Okay, I can seem crazy to some people at first. That's fine. That's fine. But I'm just like, okay, you don't see it, I see it. But he comes out. That's the thing that really, I think, was one of those things where, look, me personally, if the man felt that way his entire life and he just had to do it, God bless him. Okay. And I mean that in the most sincere way. I really, truly do. But unfortunately, I don't believe that's what happened. I don't believe that at all. I don't think he always felt that way. I think that somewhere along the line, he crossed Kris Jenner. Okay. And I'm not going to say her name another time, because if it's 3 times, it's Beetlejuice. Okay. And I'm not saying that woman's name again. All I'm saying is he might have crossed her, and that might be the hex she put on him. I'm just saying she seems like that powerful of a witch, if you know what I'm talking about. Okay. But regardless, when that happened, okay, when that happened, I was like, the world is inverted. We're now inverted. They've taken a man who was on the Wheaties box when I was growing up, who, like, a lot of men at that time looked up to. Okay. They've taken that man and they have made him want to be a woman. It's the most demasculizing thing. It's the most, like, emasculating. I'm sorry. That's probably the word. The most emasculating thing you could do to a man, right? Like, making him. I also believe they did this to Chelsea. I can't remember the last name now. The one from Julian Assange, not Chelsea Handler. I can't stand that woman. The guy, he was Brad, and then he became Chelsea. I think the military did a fucking job, right? What older lady? But anyway, so what's up, Frankie girl? So, oh yes, yes. Oh wow. Oh, the Manning, yes, thank you. Manning, thank you, thank you, thank you. And again, so here's my opinion, okay? I believe that there are certain people that are born that feel as if they're in the wrong sex and wrong body. Okay. I believe that wholeheartedly. And I've always believed that because I was a psychology major and I learned that way back in the day. And we learned about the surgeries that they did, because those surgeries are not new. A lot of those surgeries started before now. They had a whole transvestite gender. They've changed the names of these things to obfuscate what they are. Okay. But they had all that in Weimar Germany before World War II, just so you know. They had the trans movement there in Weimar Germany before they had many, many gay bars and bars like that there. So this isn't the first time in, like, modern history that people have been able to be this flamboyant in public. Here's the thing. There's a difference when I was growing up and how they talked about this subject. And this is what I mean by framing. Okay. If we didn't have words for these things, we would just know what they are. But unfortunately, they create words and they weaponize the words and they make you use them for certain groups. And here's what I mean. When I was growing up, I remember that there were some men as a little girl that I would look at and I would feel immediately creeped out and scared. Like, I just knew immediately, this guy's creepy. The smile, the way he opened his mouth, the way he was moving his legs, whatever the fuck it was. Okay. Maybe I was just a sensitive little kid, but I could pick up on that stuff. All right. Now, if a guy came up to me when I was, I don't know, maybe in my teens, and he was wearing a wig and a dress, and I could tell that it was a man, but he wanted trying to present himself as a woman, that in and of itself that does not freak me out. Okay. There are people that want to do that. That's whatever. That's you. That's on you, boo. Like whatever you want to do, boo. That's not what freaks people out. It's the other shit. It's the people who have sexual fetishes. That's the problem. And that's where they've obfuscated this. Because when I was growing up, it was transvestites, which were men who like to wear women's clothing. Okay. And this was a Hoover, like Hoover from the FBI, this guy, right? He liked to wear ladies' underwear. That like got him off. He would wear ladies' underwear and bra under his suits or whatever. There's probably a ton of men that do this today. Okay, a ton. All right, whatever. That's what you like. Go for it. But the point is that it was a secret. It was kept secret, which honestly I think it should be. Nobody gives a fuck what underwear you're wearing. Okay, and if it gets you off, we give a fuck less. We don't want to know. So yeah, keep that shit to yourself. I don't want to know. Okay, I'm not judging, but I don't want to know. Right. But then what they decided, and then there were other people who always just felt like they were born in the wrong body. And they would see therapists and things for that. And these fucking geniuses decide to try to help these people transition because they think this is a good idea somehow. Okay, I could see like a true like scientist saying maybe this will help. But they did studies way back when and they found it didn't help. Many people ended up committing suicide even after they were transitioned. And I believe many people transitioned that are in Hollywood that are our favorite actors and actresses today. And we think they're one sex and they're actually another. And that's why we see things like, I'm trying to think of the actress there's a couple actresses recently that came out as gay. And then they said they were boys and they used to be girls. And everything kind of like the girl, she's the girl like boys, right? But then she became a boy, and then she likes girls. So it's just like I can't remember her name. But the point I'm trying to make is there are sexual deviants who like to wear women's clothing and shit or act like whatever. And now we've given them free reign to walk around and just say, I'm a woman. But really what they're doing, they're parading their perversion out in public. That's a completely different person than an actual transgender person who wants to, be accepted as a man or a woman. And it's never, let's be honest, it's never the females, okay, who are in the men's room. It's never them. It's never them. We're talking about the men in the women's room. We don't like it. We don't like it. Do you know there was a little girl in New Hampshire, I think it was, 6 years old, was raped in a Dollar Tree restroom? The man went into the ladies' room. Yeah, this just happened. That's the kind of stuff that makes me so angry that I feel like if I think about it too long, I could potentially spontaneously combust, When I think about what that man did, it makes me really just want to spontaneously combust. But I just say to myself, people like that, the universe remembers. The universe pays you back. So he'll get his own payback. I don't have anything to do with it, right, guys? None of us do. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Exactly. You got it. Do you think some may have been inverted at birth and decided to go back to what they should have been? Yes, I do. See, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I do. And I think the Chelsea Manning thing was I think that was a way to humiliate a previous American patriot soldier who, decided to open their mouth about something that I was really glad he did. I was really glad, it's like one of those things where yeah, it was like a message. Exactly. It's like you're gonna become a traitor to the United States. Kiss your balls goodbye, okay? Kiss your balls and your dick goodbye. You're gonna be a woman. You're gonna be a woman now. You know, I'm sure they conditioned because he was in prison. You know, they must have done some I can only imagine the torture. I believe torture and conditioning for that. I really do. And it's all because he was a whistleblower. We don't actually protect whistleblowers in the United States. I realize that. We don't actually protect them. When Julian Assange had his, decentralized platform on before Candace came along, we'll talk about her in a second, but before that, we didn't have anything. And I mean, the internet, great. Yeah. 4chan sucks now. The FBI and whoever else is all over there. There's no information there anymore. It's a bunch of clowns most of the time. You can't find anything good in there. Right. So like, where do we go? Right. Well, we did have WikiLeaks at one point. Julian Assange had WikiLeaks. That shit was wild. That it was wild. And the United States wanted to put him in jail for it. He, I believe, is the main reason why Hillary Clinton lost the election to Donald Trump. He was just a chaos agent, and Trump came in and has been a further chaos agent. But that was something. Whether you like Donald Trump or not, I think that watching him win that election in 2016, and I stayed up to watch it because I had money riding on it. Watching that happen was one of the most authentic things I had seen on television in years, because I saw these newscasters reacting in real time to him winning, and they were losing their fucking minds, guys. Do you remember? They were like bawling, and their voices were shaking and stuff, and they didn't know how did this happen? Are we sure? Do you remember that? And yes, I'm mocking them, because for them to be that upset about the results means that they thought the result was for sure going to be something else. And they for sure wanted it to be that something else, which means they are 100% biased, which it just proves it, right? But they've always presented as news. They're not news. It's entertainment and propaganda. That's all that shit is. It's agitation, actually, propaganda. It's agitation propaganda. It's nightmare fuel. It's louche, so that you don't have to think about, there's so many things you can do right now with AI and things you can learn to help yourself. And they don't want you to know any of that. They want you to just like keep thinking you're powerless, and that these PETA wars run the world and there's nothing we can do about it, right? I say if PETA wars are running the world, eventually it's going to catch up to them, whether it's now or in the hereafter. We can't stop all the horrible things happening at once. We can talk about it. We can educate. We can recognize what the signs are. That's what we can do. We can only do the things that are in our control. There are people having absolute meltdowns over this stuff. And I get it, because if it's the first time you heard it or you didn't know anything about it, and then you have all these people so matter-of-factly talking about how these people are abusing children, being cannibals, being really sick and weird, really sick and weird stuff, right? That's like a major crack in your framing of the world, because if you thought you were living in a world where those things didn't exist, or that if they did exist, they were punished in a fairly rapid way, you now know that you don't live in that world. We don't live in that world. And we haven't lived in that world, right? We haven't. And some of us know that we haven't lived in that world for a while. And then some people are just finding out. And And I'm not saying, oh, we're better because we know or whatever. None of it's good. I don't like any of it. It's none of that. It's just, I remember learning about this stuff and people saying, oh, when people find out, they're gonna crash out, and you're gonna have to help them. And that was early QAnon stuff. And I'm not a QAnon person, but there were some things that QAnon presented that I learned from for sure, and that I thought was interesting. QAnon is what got me to learn about what military operations are. QAnon is the reason I learned about psychological warfare and psychological operations. So that's where I learned all that stuff. It's because I was trying to understand who and what QAnon was, and it confused me, and it was a trap. It was like a labyrinth. Once you stepped into it, you can't get out. You're in there. But I started to separate myself because when they kept saying things like where you go one, you go all and stuff, I'm like, that sounds like a lemming. I'm not doing that. And so I started challenging some of this shit. And ultimately we talked about this where it led. But the point I'm trying to make is at that time, people were talking about these things. Okay. We were talking about Hillary Clinton. We were talking about Bill Clinton. We were talking about Epstein's Island. We were talking about the paintings that the Podesta have in their house. If you want to see some nasty art, I don't recommend it, but you could go look. If you think Epstein has weird art, the Podesta brothers have even more bizarre art. And the Podestas, all these people from the past are coming up again. This is 2016 all over again. It's 10 years later, but this is giving such 2016 vibes right now, guys. Like it really is, because the people that were around back then are all coming up again. And it's in my algorithm. These people were in my algorithm 10 years ago. And I'll tell you exactly who they are. Lionel, that guy Lionel Nation, he's up in my he's in my algorithm. George Webb popped back up in my algorithm as soon as the Charlie Kirk operation popped off. And then we have so George Webb, we have Lionel Nation. Who's the other one that just came out? Oh my gosh. There's another one, guys. I can't remember. I'm going to do a video on it though, because it's just funny. It's just funny how these things. I kind of talked about it in the Candace video and how these things are being framed and stuff. Lionel is clearly a friend, to Candace for sure. A friend of her channel. You can tell where the alliances are and stuff. So that's kind of interesting. And the coordinated attacks, like that. The coordinated attacks, when people have those, pay attention. That's it. Yeah, Jesse on Fire is awesome. I like him. I think he's the real deal. I don't know. I could be wrong. He's just very charismatic. And his wife, they're just like such a cool. I would love to vacation with them, right? Like, just like a group of people. They just seem like a lot of fun. And I love their energy with each other, You love him, so do I. Exactly. He's great. He's great. I think a lot of people probably do. Yeah. He's a good guy, right? He's a good guy for sure. So, all right. So hold on a second. Let me show you guys something else here. One second. Okay, guys. So, oops. Sorry. Okay, I'm back. Yeah, they're like super. They are. I was actually in the chat the other day when watching him live when you typed Jesse with a couple exclamation points and your name, and he said inside your bones. That's a cool name or something. I was there. I was inside the chat when that happened. So I was like, "There's Bones! Oh my gosh!" So yeah, that was pretty cool. So what are you guys thinking about? Well, tomorrow I have a live at 1:00. Okay. I have a live at 1 tomorrow. And that live, yeah, he yelled out. Yep. Yeah. He was like, I like yeah. Yep. I was in there. Did you hear him call you out and say that he liked your name? Yeah. That's cool. I was like, yeah, she's probably smiling. I'd be smiling. Right. Well, you are special, Bones. So you should feel special. Okay. You are special. Don't forget it. Don't forget it. Yeah. So I'm going to be doing a little intro video soon for the Please Understand Me series. Just to kind of give us a refresher, because remember, it's Thursday at 7:30, Thursday, March 10th. So I'm going to be, this is the book here. You don't need the book. I'm going to go through stuff with you guys. Okay. But you do need to take the test beforehand. And if you're a member, you can sign up. It's 99 cents, So, and then you can do it without me. You don't need me to do this. It's just a fun exercise. And I think people get a lot out of it. And I've been studying this and using this for probably, let's say, 40 years. Yeah, since I was 17. So, well, I'm 55, so maybe not 40, like 38 years. Okay. So anyway, that's going to be in the members only. I'm going to do another updated video on that. And tomorrow I'm going to be doing, oh no, the dental emergencies are the freaking worst. Those are the worst. Okay, hold on 1 second. I want to find something here. All right, 1 second, guys. I'll be right back. Oh my gosh, what the hell is that? Sorry. People are talking about rural New Jersey and not going there. Okay. Sorry, guys. Okay. So, oh no. Oh my gosh. So, okay. So, I got distracted for a minute, but I wanted to show you guys something. Hold on. Let me find it. I'm gonna find it. Playlists. And oops. Sorry, guys. I'm just trying to find something here. Oh, okay, let's look at this here. All right, I found some here.
You know how we read the Old Testament and read that every knee shall bow, every tongue shall confess about the Messiah, and we know that's about Jesus, and we see that as a positive thing? Yeah, they believe that every knee will bow and every tongue will confess because they're going to force you. Folks, welcome back to The Narrative with me, your host, William, the host with the most and the most chutzpah. Folks, today we're talking about something actually kind of serious. Tucker Carlson was slammed today by the usual suspects for his criticism of Chabad Lubavitch, the Hasidic organization located in
you guys know
Chabad is
right? Do you guys remember this? Do you guys remember? Oh, you're so sweet, guys. You guys are sweet. You guys remember talking about the Chabad Lubavitch, right? We did Jeffrey Epstein. Rabbi Schneerson, that's who he's about to talk about. So apparently Tucker Carlson is now talking about Rabbi Schneerson as well. We talked about Rabbi Schneerson in the Jeffrey Epstein mansion video because he had a big portrait of Schneerson in his dining room. And so I wondered if that meant that he was a Lubavitch. Because if you recall, the Lubavitch sect of Judaism is the sect that is actively trying to build the third temple and believes that prophecy will be fulfilled. And the problem is that's what all the forecasting is. For example, if you watch the movie I Pet Goat 2, there's a scene that's, well, they have the Venezuela in the oil scene. I think we passed that part. They have us sending ships to Iran. I think we passed that part in the I Pet Goat. I think we might be in the timeline. And then the next thing it shows is the Dome of the Rock being bombed, guys. So let's just hope and pray that that's not in the forecast, okay? Because that would really suck, okay? But regardless, okay? Regardless, the Chabad Rebbe, he's the one they thought was the Messiah and the Mashiach, but he died and the Mashiach wouldn't die, right? I'm sure they have oil in Iran, but there's so many other things they're taking too. It's just, what's crazy is in the 70s, they used to wear mini skirts. Look up Iran in the 70s. We've talked about this before too. That's how quick things can change, guys. Think about that. I was growing up in the 70s. If I was growing up in the 70s when my mom's wearing a mini skirt and then now she has to wear full like headdress, what the fuck happened? Sounds like a psyop, guys. Oh, and by the way, if you're members, look in the emojis, guys. Look in the emojis. That or Antarctica. We're going to do a show on that too. But members, I want to show you guys something. If you are a member, okay, you have access to the new member emojis. You guys ready for this? Let me find it. Okay, so here's the first member emoji. It says, stop playing. That's me when I was a baby. All right. The next member emoji is PSYOP with an exclamation point. That's another picture of me when I was a kid. The next member emoji is noticing. And the next member emoji is presumed innocent. I made that Brian Koberger graffiti. So if you are a member, those are some of the emojis that you should have access to at this point. So I hope you like those. All right. But that's the whole thing too, is I don't even think that the oil is something that is scarce. And I don't think it's what we don't, and it's not from dinosaurs. Like, come on, can they stop with the bullshit about the oil came from dinosaur fossils? Like, I think we all know that's not true by now, right? Fuckers. These fuckers. You know, when you teach people when they're very young. But I always remember as a kid learning things and being like, yeah, but why this? Like, I always wanted to start earlier than where they were teaching because they're always leaving shit out. I'm not sure what you're talking about, Bones. I'm not, if you're caught up with me, do a 1. Put a 1 in the chat if you're caught up with me, because anybody who's a member, you guys should check out your the emojis. Hopefully they're working. All right, so let's get back here.
Sacred cow for these people. You don't fuck with Chabad. Chabad is like it's like the mafia of the Jewish world. I mean, Chabad is like a serious organization. These are not good guys, and these are not guys who take lightly to criticism. So today, here's William making a video criticizing them. Folks, let me note right now, I have no intent to harm myself.
Oh my God.
Any photo
really?
of me in a compromising position, it's either AI or I don't apologize for it. Got nothing on me that ain't already out there, so let's get after it, folks. Let's take a look at this clip.
So how exactly did the IDF, the Israel Defense Forces, a military that the U.S. taxpayer pays for, that lots of wealthy Americans send money to friends of the IDF, how did all these guys wind up wearing patches suggesting the point of this war was the destruction of one of the holiest places in Islam and the rebuilding of a temple that is totally anathema to Christianity? Like, how did this happen?
Sexless marriages have one thing
Oh my
in common.
gosh.
A man who grew up being a nice guy. There's a version of man.
Well, there are a lot of ways it happened. The main way it happened is because no one in the United States noticed, because it's such a secular place. And as noted, we have eyes but can't see and ears and can't hear. But this has been going on a long time in public through, in part, the efforts of a group called Chabad, Chabad. And you may know people who give money to Chabad or run to Chabad, super nice people, engaged in all kinds of charitable activities, drug rehab. You know, there's a lot about Chabad that's really good. But what is Chabad exactly? Well, Chabad, you can look it up, is a very old organization, about 250 years old.
We did a whole video on Chabad.
And it's a branch of Hasidic Judaism. It's an organization that was overseen for many years by a guy called Rabbi Menachem Schneerson, who was famously in Brooklyn, considered the Messiah by some of his followers, who was a friend of presidents, or certainly someone presidents visited. He was a very powerful man in the Orthodox and the Hasidic community. And he was the overseer of Chabad, which predated him and outlasted him, but he was its most visible ambassador. And Chabad has been pushing in a pretty subtle way, unless you look carefully, for the
you can take any image. So right now, because they limit the amount of icons the emojis or whatever you can make, it really is more an icon based on how many members you have. So I was able to make 4, icons. And then once I hit another certain amount, I can make like another 9 icons. So you can use anything. So I didn't know what to make. And I just saw, I had those old pictures of when I was a kid. I thought they were hilarious. So I was like, I'll just put this up there for now. And then the Brian Koberger presumed innocent, I thought was pretty cool. So yeah, thank you.
The reconstruction of the Third Temple. And it seems like, from the reading we did recently, that those patches actually came from Chabad. Well, in any case, Chabad is pushing for the building of the Third Temple.
It's good, but he could go deeper. The story behind Chabad
All right, hold on.
a lot more disturbing, and it's a lot more influential than anybody would admit to you. But luckily, you have me, Frillium, a guy who was raised directly next to them. As you can see, I am from the beautiful state of New Jersey, specifically the part of New Jersey that's next to New York City. I know Chabad really, really well. And so now I'm going to expose them for you. Folks, before we get into all that, be sure, like,
all right,
subscribe.
So
I want to do a quick
intro.
intro.
Actually pause this because I don't really need him to expose Chabad for me, because I actually know Chabad pretty well myself. Oh, that was sweet. Yeah, I mean it's okay. Eventually, I'm not crying about it or anything. I appreciate it. But yeah. So Chabad, guys. So I don't know if we've talked about this before, but I at one point was converted to Judaism. I'm no longer a practicing Jewish person, and I had reclaimed my Christianity, but I did convert, and it was Orthodox. I lived kosher. I was in religious areas and very religious weddings where the men and women are separated. I mean, I know the culture very well because of the person I married and who that person was, which I'm not going to get into. But the point is, I don't do anything like that anymore. That stopped a long time ago. But because of it, I know a lot about that culture, and I made myself educate myself on like all the different sects of Judaism. And there's a great book called Jew versus Jew that I highly recommend. I can't remember who wrote it. If I find it out, but if you look it up, Jew versus Jew, it's such a good book. So it's just a really good book. So it talks about these types of things, which is what the Orthodox tend to do in certain areas, which is near where I live, which is Lakewood. And Lakewood, New Jersey is not too far from me. And there's a huge Orthodox community there. And they just sort of exposed them. This guy, Tyler Oliveira, I don't know if you know who he is or if you follow him, but he went and he did a video on them. And this guy's been doing videos for a really long time. But apparently this video caused them to cancel his Patreon. So let me just see if I can find the video because I want to show you guys a little bit about it so you can see who he is. Hold on one second. Okay, here it is. Wait, hold on. Okay, guys, I'm going to show you guys this. Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. All right, check this out, guys.
Important meetings, and they'll go pray. And they could care less about anything happening. The same things with Shabbos. We come home, our families are waiting. We sing Shalom Aleichem. We welcome in the Shabbos, and you'll say back Aleichem Shalom, right?
Could they feed 10 kids
Yes.
without those programs?
I am one of 10 children.
You're
My
driving
father-
a G-Wagon,
Yes.
bro.
My father was never on any welfare. I used to reuse sandwich bags to save my father a penny.
That's great for you.
You're not welcome here, and you're not welcome in a lot of other places based on your video.
What about me, though?
I love you, man.
Ah!
You are funny.
You don't own this place. You don't own America. I can do whatever I want.
Whatever you
So
want.
Get in your G-Wagon. Get to work.
You're not trying to bring people together. You never did. You never will. It's who you are. Somebody hurt you deeply, and I'm sorry.
He was right. Someone did hurt me. Whoever told my sponsors to pull out after making one video exploring a community of welfare-addicted Jews. If you want to help me avoid ending up on welfare too and get access to all of these videos early and watch never before seen content I can't upload on YouTube, go subscribe to my Patreon at
Yep, and they canceled his
patreon.com/Tyler
Patreon,
Oliveira
guys.
for $5 a month. Back to the video. After speaking
They canceled this guy's Patreon. So he has now created his own website, and it's tyleroliveira.com. But yeah, because of this video, they canceled his Patreon.
to frustrated Goyim in Muncie, I headed to Lakewood, New Jersey, one of the fastest growing Orthodox Jewish communities in America, where a similar Jewish takeover has taken place, leading to the gutting of the public school system, all while turning a predominantly working class Irish and Italian town into Little Jerusalem.
I'm trying to merge a gap to see if there's any way that we could actually be one community. Because as you can tell, it's two separate communities. Look around. You will not see a non-Jewish resident here.
We got the Yiddish bus.
This is really all Jewish stores.
Sure.
Now, that pizza place, it's going to be kosher pizza, probably.
A lot of these signs are written in Yiddish, and everything's insulated. Basically, you come here to this plaza, get everything you need. Quite convenient, quite nice.
100%. Now, everyone can shop here. Of course, we could go in and they'll be friendly, but everything's geared towards one community. But
And is it always this way? This part here, is this newly developed in the last?
Oh, yeah. So this used to be a concrete yard.
Got it.
So we're almost where we're standing. Used to have rows of concrete trucks.
Sure. It's bustling. It's busy. Now, this place was packed with Jews buying groceries for Shabbos. But keep in mind, Goyim are fully allowed to come in here and shop whenever
Okay,
they
so I'm just
please.
gonna pause it for a minute because I don't want to watch this whole video. You guys can go and watch him, Tyler Oliveira. He's got a lot of great videos. This is not the only video he's done. This video is like 5.7 million hits or views already. This guy has had a very popular YouTube channel for years and has gotten millions of views on many things. And this is the first time that anything like this has happened. The sponsors on the video pulled out, and then he sent people to his Patreon. And now I just found out his Patreon pulled out. So the Lakewood Jews are apparently powerful enough to affect someone's banking. Just so you know. I mean, that's what that tells me. Because he's done videos. He did a video on the Jews in New York, another community that's somewhat, it's actually not quite as interesting as the one in Lakewood, but regardless, and they didn't do it. So there's something going on in Lakewood. I will tell you that, of course, they have kosher. If you've ever been into a kosher market, it's not like you're not allowed in. It's just like if you go into a market that's, I think it's called halal, and I'm sorry if I said that incorrectly, but there's certain meat and chicken that have to be prepared. They have to be killed a certain way if it's kosher. And it's not just the rabbi blesses it or something. It has to do with gullet to gullet, no nicks, no adrenaline is released. Because the Jews know that's bad for you to eat long term. It makes you sick when you eat the adrenaline in the meat. That's why people will get more aggressive when they eat meat, because a lot of ways that they kill the meat that the goyim eat, the adrenaline is in the meat. Okay, so the other way to do it, the humane way to do it is gullet to gullet with no nicks. So there's no suffering. And then you say a prayer like, thank you for sacrificing your life, right? That's kind of the way it should be. And they have higher standards for their meats, the kosher meats. So, and probably halal is similar, I'm guessing, but I'm not going to speak for that. The point is, of course, you can go into the market. It's America. You can't not go into the market, right? Because you're not Jewish. I mean, it's capitalism, right? But in areas where it's mostly Orthodox Jew, just like in areas where it's mostly Muslim, which I take it in some areas of Michigan or Minneapolis, maybe like this, the people may look at you if you're Goyim, because that's what you're Goyim and you're not dressed like them. So they all have a very different dress code because of their religion and their values and their hive mind, that they're working very successfully as sort of a micro collective within the larger collective at populating and following the Bible and multiplying and be fruitful. But what they're also doing in the meantime is taking advantage of laws so that they can essentially rip off local governments. And so what I'm going to tell you is, essentially what happened is they move in, okay? When they move in, first of all, there's something called, I think it's called halacha. Halacha, it's like the Jewish law, okay? Halacha, I think it's called. It's the Jewish law. And Orthodox Jews have their own court, the Beis Din, okay? The Beis Din. And their court is, I don't know how many rabbis, but it's a certain amount of rabbis, okay? So like they have their own court system, okay? And they operate within that system in Lakewood, New Jersey, and I'm sure in other areas around the country and the world, okay? This is one of the ways that they're able to survive no matter where they are. And people who are of any culture do this, okay? So I'm not saying that this makes them bad or anything like that. That's not what I'm saying, so I don't want to hear that. What I'm trying to say is, if you study any of the micro collectives that have come into America and prospered and done well, whether it's Chinatown in New York or Little Italy in New York, or like a Central American population in Danbury, Connecticut, right? They move in, all the restaurants change things, but it's beautiful, it's more vibrant, foods, whatever, right? Well, what do the Orthodox Jews do? When they move in, they have their own court system. They're very strict with their religion. And this enables them to do things that other people can't do. because they are following a strict Jewish law. They had been indoctrinated into this from the time they were born by their parents, who were indoctrinated from the time they were born. Okay. And it's mostly after World War II where the young Jewish men in our country have been, if they're going to be observant, Orthodox, Shomer Shabbos, keeping the Shabbos, they are going to yeshiva. That's like a real Orthodox family, like Hasidic Orthodox. Like the kid he gets bar mitzvah, he goes to yeshiva, and then when he gets married, and they get married young, 18, 19 years old. They're not waiting. They get married young. And the young girl just graduated from college, and she went to a local Orthodox Jewish day school and learned, and she knows how to cook and clean and do all the things she's supposed to do. Okay. And then they get married. He stays at home and studies Torah, and then goes and studies Torah all day long with other men. And that's all they do, is talk about the Bible and dissect it word by word, letter by letter. And they just go on and on and on. You think somebody can talk a long time? Go listen to some. I've never heard it. I've heard it, but not in the yeshiva. I've heard it outside the yeshiva with men who went to yeshiva. And I heard the way they talk. And I'm going to tell you right now, it could go on and on. You want to talk about debating or filibuster? Forget it. Okay? So what happens is, that's what the men do. Okay? Well, how do they do that, right? Because they're not working. They're just studying. I stayed in one of their homes once for Pesach because they went away. And there's no TVs, okay, in the home. It's just a bookshelf with all the Torah and stuff. And, it's a young couple, 18, 19, which you got to love. And basically, these are the little things that they're able to accomplish to work around the law. Okay? Because they have their own court system, the Beth Din, and Jewish law, and they follow it, and they're all very strict about it, they get married in the Jewish faith by a rabbi. And the rabbi, they do the signing, and it's very, structured. Men on one side, women on the other. There's all kinds of things, right? But now they are formally married. They don't end up getting a license in the state. So they don't go to the state in New Jersey and say, hey, we got married on Sunday. We got married on Sunday, so here's our marriage license. So now the state knows you're married. They don't do that. No, they don't do that. They're married in front of God, according to their biblical law, according to their Torah law, I'm sorry. And that's enough for them. And that's totally fine. That should be enough for them. That should be enough for anybody. The state making us register and stuff really is just them getting in our business. Okay. And that's another discussion. The point is, them not registering for a marriage certificate with the state of New Jersey, why should they if they can get away with it? Why should they? Because this is what happens. Okay. Yes, they're married and they're not disgraced by anyone because they were married in their church in front of all their community. They're just not married on the books in the state of New Jersey. So that means if she has 7 kids or 6 kids or 4 or 2 or 1 or whatever, she's the single mom. Because she's the single mom, she also gets help with her groceries and her rent and yada, yada, yada. And this is what they do. This is what they do. Now, you can say that's backhanded or deceptive, but if you can get away with it, it's not against the law. Me personally, I think it's immoral. I don't think it's moral. I find it highly unethical. I would not do it. Is it illegal in New Jersey right now? I don't think it is. That's the problem. They need to make it illegal. And then the other thing is, what happens is they or not make it illegal, because I don't like new laws. What they should do is change it. They should change the law, not make it illegal. You've got to look at the situation. If these people are exploiting this and getting taxpayer money by this loophole, you need to change around that loophole. Something needs to be done, right? But beside that, the other thing that they're able to do is this. In Orthodox Judaism, if you have 10 men, that's all you need. You need 10 men. If you have 10 men, it's considered a minyan. And a minyan, is that you can now pray. So if I am, I don't know, let's say I'm a single woman, or I'm a woman who just got married. I'm 20 years old, and I'm married under Jewish law, and my husband goes to Torah and he studies all the time. And then we are having trouble affording our house, so we're not getting enough. So in our basement, we have the neighborhood men come over and pray every morning and then every night. And now that the house is considered a tax shelter, now it's a house of worship. And so now you're not even paying property taxes. And so you lose so much property taxes from people doing this. And so then the public schools start to fail. And it's just a whole big shit show. Okay. And is it good? Should they be doing it? I don't agree with it. But, it's kind of like, if you can pay less taxes, are you going to? Yeah, you're going to pay less taxes if you can, right? Who wouldn't? So again, me personally, I wouldn't do it, but it's what's happening. It's what's happening. And the other thing that's crazy, okay, and I'm going to stop the video because I'll just finish with this. The other thing that's crazy is these communities have their own ambulances and police forces, okay? I should take a drive over there one time so you can see it. They'll try to pull you over. I'm not pulling over for their town watch guy or whatever. It's never going to happen. He doesn't have the authority. The police are lucky I'm pulling over and giving them the authority, okay? And that's only because I don't want to go to prison. But those guys, they try to pull you over. Yeah, I would never let them pull me over. And they have their own ambulances that are funded through the state, through some kind of I don't know, some kind of nonprofit or something. They have their own special ambulances on top of the regular ambulances that would go there. And their ambulances, are specifically for them. Again, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Okay. I don't. If you go forth, multiply, all these things, no problems with that. The issue comes when you get in a little deeper. If they're breaking the law, it should be rectified. Okay. But that's up to the people that live there. And if they're skirting around it and scamming people, you got to figure out a way to stop them, And the other thing is, I think that the Jewish supremacy angle is a little bit tiresome, and it's a real angle. People don't want to talk about it, and this is not all Jewish people, obviously. I'm talking about, some of these people that are being trained by IDF, and it's the people that Daniel Klein talks about in his video on Indy Nile, and I highly recommend you watch it if you haven't seen it, guys, because it's unbelievable. I hope that Tucker Carlson is able to interview Daniel Klein. I think he would, that would be great if you can get a Tucker Carlson next. That'd be awesome. But anyway, I'm going to end the stream for tonight, guys. Thanks, everybody, for being here. I really appreciate it. And we'll be live tomorrow at 1. Going to be doing some deep dive into the DNA in the Koberger case. And so not in a dissecting DNA way, because I'm not the expert. We have other people for that, DNA Glitch Lab and people like that. But more like kind of like the framing around it. I like to look at the zoomed out version. So that's basically what I'll be doing, guys. So anyway, going to be peacing out now. Oh, and here's my puppers. That's Fabio. And he's just going to say bye. Isn't he a cutie pie? All right, have a good night, guys.